Yo guys, what's up? It's XRAYZ and welcome back to another video. So today we're actually going to be talking about something that has been pretty popular to do, and that is the debate between the Switch 2 and the Steam Deck. It's been all over Twitter. I'm seeing people going on both sides, defending their side, and honestly, it's been getting kind of brutal because now we're even seeing people on both sides saying like, hey guys, can we just relax and enjoy whatever platform you decided, whatever console you decided to buy. So as someone who does actually have a Steam Deck, you guys can see I actually have the Steam Deck OLED. I use my Steam Deck, which by the way, shout out to Control Freak. They actually gave me these really awesome no slip grips that you can use on Steam Deck. So if you have like a handheld, a portable like this, and you want to protect your sticks, check out Control Freak, link down below. But as you guys can see, I have both a Steam Deck, and as you guys can see, I also do own a Switch 2. So I do own both of these guys. So as you guys can see, I own both the Steam Deck. I use an OLED version of that one. I also do have a Switch 2. I wanted to talk to you guys about the pros and cons. If you guys still haven't bought either or, which is the one that you should buy, which is the way you should lean. So we'll talk about what each one does right, what each one does wrong, and hopefully you guys are able to be informed by the end of this video on which one you should be leaning towards buying. With that said, if you go on to enjoy the video, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to comment down below. Are you Team Switch or are you Team Steam Deck? With that said, let's jump into it. So whether you are a big Nintendo fan or maybe you're more of a PC user, both of these guys are actually a really powerful device. I really enjoy my Steam Deck. I really enjoy playing with my Switch 2 so far. It's been pretty good impressions on both of these guys from the get-go. But which one you like really depends on the kind of person you are in terms of play style, games that you like to play. If you bought both of them, you might end up using one barely over the other, or it might be that you just don't enjoy that one and you regret buying it because you just lean in one direction more than the other. So hopefully with this video, it just makes it a little bit more clear for you. So we'll talk about the Switch 2 first because it is the newest one of the two devices. So Nintendo recently dropped this bad boy on June 5th. So it was only maybe a couple of weeks ago that this thing was available to the world, and it's got a lot of really nice features. Now, it does not have an OLED screen. This is the one thing that I have in comparison. I got the Steam Deck OLED edition because I liked OLED screens. I actually also have a Switch OLED edition for Tears of the Kingdom, so I just like OLED screens. I really wish the Switch 2 had an OLED, but it doesn't have an OLED. Now, with that said, the screen is still very nice. It's a very nice screen. I've been using it to play, I'd say about 50-50. 50% of the time I'm playing on dock mode. The other 50% I'm playing it in portable mode, handheld mode, whatever you want to call it. And I think the portable mode screen actually looks really nice. It's very vibrant. The colors pop a lot. It's not, I don't think HDR. I don't think that it's OLED. So it's just a regular LCD screen. But with what it does have, it still really pops. I think it actually still looks really great. I'm sure there's technical aspects in there that I saw people pointing out where, like, if you zoom in on the pixel, certain stuff is blurry. I get it, but from someone who is not an expert on that and doesn't really focus on those things, I don't really notice anything where I'm like, wow, that looked terrible. If anything, I think that the screen is pretty nice in my personal opinion. And again, this is coming from someone who doesn't really have maybe even the best eyesight. But for me, coming from my side of it, I think the screen looks fantastic. All right, so let's talk about the other impressions of the Switch 2. It's got 4K output, 60 frames per second on the majority of the games. It's got a lot of those games that were for the Switch 1 optimized to run better on the Switch 2. It's kind of crazy being able to play the Switch 2 as a home console and not feel like it's just a portable device that you're able to output the screen picture to a TV. I saw a comment that someone posted and said that the Switch 2 feels like the exact opposite of the Switch 1. The Switch 1 felt like a handheld device that you could put into a dock and play on screen that was primarily a portable device. And now he feels like the Switch 2 is a home console that you just happen to be able to take with you on the road. And I completely agree with that. I think the Switch 2 feels more like a home console because of the 4K, because of the 60 frames per second, because of the performance that it has on other games, including Switch 1 games. It just feels like a home console that feels premium, that you're able to take with you on the go. So personally, I really think that's really cool. That has made a very big impression on me. Not to mention, it does have all the Nintendo exclusives. You buy Nintendos for the Nintendo exclusives. You can replay all of your Legend of Zelda games. There's probably going to be another Legend of Zelda game coming out for the Switch 2. all the Mario games, Mario Kart, all those things that like you know and love about Nintendo are here. They are untouchable. You're not going to be able to play those on Steam Deck or any other device. Now, the one thing obviously is going to be that Nintendo consoles don't have as open of an ecosystem as if you were playing on Steam. You're not going to be able to use Steam Deck. You're not going to be able to use Steam. You're not going to be able to play Epic Games. You're not going to be able to do mods. You're not going to be able to do emulators if that's the kind of thing that you like to do. Those are not stuff you're going to be able to do on the Switch 2. It's a very closed up ecosystem. Sure, you'll be able to play some third-party games on it that are across other platforms, but primarily you're buying a Switch 2 for Nintendo exclusives and occasionally third-party games. So that's kind of the idea and the mindset you need to go into it. So with that said, now let's talk about the Steam Deck. All right, so what are my impressions of the Steam Deck? I've had it now longer than the Switch 2. I'll tell you what I think of it. I think that it's incredibly versatile. I think that it has an awesome screen. Like I said, I have the OLED version of it, which cost me about 550 bucks, if I'm remembering that right. It's 550 for the 512 OLED. It's 649 for the 1 terabyte OLED. And then if you just want a regular LCD version with 256 gigs for the Steam Deck, then it would actually set you $400. So it's actually really similar in price to the Switch 2, which kind of makes an argument for what if Nintendo had just released a Switch 2 regular LCD and OLED screen version and charged you like another 50 bucks. I don't know. We'll see. But either way, like I'm saying, the price points are around the same. So there's always this argument of like, why would you buy that $500 Switch 2 or you know, after taxes or whatever, and when you could just buy a Steam Deck? Well, they're essentially around the same price. You can get yourself a regular Steam Deck non-OLED for about 50 bucks cheaper than a Switch 2, but that's going to be a different thing. So with the Steam Deck, you have a choice of 3 different styles of the Steam Deck. You can get the regular LCD OLED or the OLED with 1 terabyte. They each will set you back more money the more premium that you go, but essentially the performance is the same. That's not the same as other portable PCs that you can either get 2 different styles and then one is like much weaker than the other one. All the Steam Decks have the same performance, except for with the OLED one, you have a better screen, and it also has 90 hertz screen, so you can also see those games if those games are at 90, which I don't think there's a lot of games that run at 90 frames per second, but either way, if you have games that run at 90 frames per second, then it'll look nicer on the OLED screen. But again, performance-wise, all the same across the board. I have been playing games. I played Elden Ring Night Rain on this guy recently when that game came out. I'm starting to play some Witcher 3 on there. I'm playing old games I used to play on Xbox that are now available as Steam games, like Enslaved. I really enjoyed that game as a kid. Beat it on the Steam Deck as well. So this thing does perform pretty well. Now, not every game is going to run the same because certain games are just monster houses of games that come out. Like, I'm surprised that Elden Ring Night Rain actually ran as decently as it did when I was playing it online. But not every game is going to perform the same. You can't really say that with other consoles because other consoles are kind of, games are made specifically and optimized for that console. With the Steam Deck, it's kind of like they're doing the best that they can. They're downscaling, they're doing what they can to make it run. But it's still pretty awesome that the majority of these AAA games are running at an okay frame rate. It's not amazing, but if you really wanted to play your Steam games on the go, then this is kind of a pretty awesome way to see it. The next thing, the Steam Deck library is massive. I mean, they've got games from a decade ago. They've got so many games on there. They're always adding it. It's one of the primary storefronts. So it's not like you're going to be running out of games. Whenever games come out on PC, they 99% of the time are on Steam. So even though you can't really run other game stores, like if you wanted the Epic Game Store, technically you can. There's ways around it that you can do it, that you can go out and you can find. It's definitely more open source than you think it is. But primarily, if you're someone who is just casual and is like, I just want to play my Steam games on the go, you're not going to look at that. But you don't really have to worry because it has such a large library of games that you can purchase and buy and mod and do things to that you're not going to be limited. You're never going to be like, well, I wish there was a new game, because there's definitely a new game on there. A lot of indie games are on there. You have just a large collection of games that is just not available or ever will be on the Switch 2. The other good thing about the Steam Deck is that it actually has an ability to tweak the performance. So if you want a game to maybe run a little crappier because you want the battery to last a little longer, you can do all of that. If you're someone who uses emulators, you can cap off the frames per second. You can cap off the watts that you're using on your game so that they might perform a little worse, but you'll get more battery in return. So that's not something you can do on the Switch 2. If you wanted to play a game for 3 hours as opposed to 2, you can't just go into the settings and tweak it and make it run a little worse or lower the resolution, etc. So that's all stuff that you can't really do on the Switch 2, but you can do on the Steam Deck. Other than that, it's a really comfortable device. I saw some people arguing that where the button placement was kind of terrible. It feels good in your hand. The positions you'd think would be weird, but they're not. They also have trackpads on either side. You have buttons on the back that you can use for different paddles. So personally, I think the ergonomics on the Steam Deck are also massively, massively good. Now, the only downside really, it's chunky, not as portable as the Switch 2, and setup can be a little bit fiddly if you're really trying to use it to the max. You really have to look stuff up to do it. But other than that, it's a totally awesome device with a lot of games that are always on sale. You can find a lot of games under $20 on the Steam Deck. So personally, I think that's a lot of really, really awesome pros. All right, so we're gonna do a quick section here just talking about the pros and cons for each one. We're gonna start with the Switch 2. So the Switch 2, let's talk about the pros first. Obviously, it's got killer exclusives. It's got a really sleek design. It is a true hybrid. Like I told you, this feels like a home console that you can take on the go. I've been taking it on the go to work pretty much every single day that I go to work, just so I can play Mario Kart during my lunch. So truly a hybrid. I really, really like that. If you had the Steam Deck, you can buy devices that allow you to output it to your TVs. So definitely you can still make this a home console experience, but it's not as sleek and one shot ready to go as the Switch 2. Number 2, it has improved performance on games. It's going to play a lot more games because of how much more powerful it is. And also it does have a family-friendly vibe. If you're someone who's a parent or if you're someone who has siblings who want to use your devices, the Switch 2 is more family-friendly and easier for kids to use. All right, so let's talk about the Steam Deck OLED, specifically just Steam Deck. What are the pros? What are the cons? Well, the pros, it's got a massive library. If you have the OLED, that screen absolutely slaps. It's got a bunch of customizable settings, so it's just really, really customizable for even what video plays when you're turning it on. So just, it's a lot more personal and a lot more open than the Switch 2. It's essentially a portable PC, which is really awesome. All right, so let's talk about the cons. It's heavier. It's got a shorter battery for AAA games, which makes sense. There might be a little more tinkering with the Steam Deck if you're really trying to make games run as optimal as you can. Whereas with Switch 2, they're going to run the best that they can because that's just the way the devs did it to make those games run the best that they possibly can. You probably could pump them out if you had access to the internals of the Switch 2 to tweak. You could probably make games run better at a lower battery, but I think that it's just less hassle for you if you're really trying to tweak it versus it's just ready to go for you. All right, so at the end of the day, which should you buy? Should you get the Steam Deck or should you get the Switch 2? I think that really depends on where your priorities are. So if you want a no-fuss, family-friendly console that's going to have top-tier exclusives from Nintendo, then you go with the Switch 2. It's perfect for couch co-op or for just chilling and having fun with Mario Kart. However, if you are someone who's just craving more AAA games, you like mods, you like that PC freedom and experience, then you might want to go with the Steam Deck. Whether that be the OLED or you get just the regular version of that guy, it is what it is. As for the price, they both cost around $400, so really it's just which one you want to drop your money on. And so if you really want the OLED, it's going to be a little bit pricier than the Switch 2. If you just want the bare minimum experience, the regular Steam Deck is $400. So really, it's kind of flexibility on where you are for price point. Same thing, if you're someone who is looking for more deals, who is looking for more bang for your buck, it might be from Steam Deck because you have a lot of games that are under $20. It has a massive library of games, and you're able to buy Steam Deck codes online from people for cheaper. That's not really the case with Nintendo Switch 2. Everything's going to be at that $70 price point now, or $60 depending on some of the publishers, but you're going to be paying a premium price. A lot of those games don't come down in price. So really, you're buying the Switch 2 because you like Switch games and Nintendo exclusives, and you're okay with spending that money. That's really the mentality you need to have with the Switch versus the Steam Deck. All right, boys, so that is it. Steam Deck versus Switch 2. Let me know in the comment section below which is yours preferred console. Have you bought both of them? Have you bought neither and you're trying to consider which one you want to get? That really depends, like I said, on what are your priorities. I was lucky enough to be able to get both of them, and I enjoy using both of them. So personally, I am enjoying both the Steam Deck and the Switch 2. And again, I was lucky enough to be able to buy both of them. If you are a little bit tighter on money, then it really just does depend. Do you like Nintendo? Are you a big Nintendo fan? You're probably going to go with the Switch 2. If you're someone who is more of a PC gamer who wants a little more flexibility, you're probably going to go with the Steam Deck because of just that openness that you have on there. But let me know in the comment section below what team you're a part of, Steam Deck or Switch 2, and let's just get along. You know, each one has their pros and cons, and I think that everyone, whether you are a PC gamer or a Nintendo gamer, we all just want to have fun and play games. With that said, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you're new, make sure to subscribe and notifications on so you don't miss a single upload. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can do so by checking out my sponsors, Control Freak and Aim Controller. I use them every time I play. Code OGXRAYZ gets you a discount, link in the description below to that, or through my Amazon influencer page if you guys would much rather do it that way. And then if you guys want to talk and interact, at OGXRAYZ over on Twitter, give me a follow over there. Make sure to follow me over on my TikTok as well, at the OGXRAYZ, link down below. If you guys want to see short form versions of these videos. With that said, you guys have an awesome day. Take care. I'm out, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.